Welcome to Iron Sharpens Irons, friends. We are thrilled today because we have a special guest, Brittiany Jefferson, with us. And Brittiany is a phenomenal individual that I have gotten to know over the last several weeks. She is the person who is probably the most courageous outside of my wife, who spends every day with me. But Brittiany is my counselor and therapist, and she has taken it upon herself to dive into my headspace, which is a very dangerous thing, friends, but she is phenomenal and wonderful. And she shared so many wonderful things with me over the last few weeks and has been kind enough to join us today to share a little bit with y'all. So excited to have her.
Excited to be here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely. So as I said, we have Brittiany Jefferson. She has her own practice. It is B.A. Jefferson Counseling and Solutions. And Brittiany specializes in counseling for individuals, for families, for couples.
Yes.
Basically, if you could use some counseling, I think Brittiany is the person for you. I'm going to let her talk through this next part, but her specialty is with systemic counseling,
Yes.
like families as a system, for example. But I will just say, friends, like counseling, I'm going to give a small tangent here, and then Brittiany, I'm going to let you share a little bit about yourself. But friends, like Solo and I have talked a lot about overcoming adversity in life, and we've talked about personal growth and development, and just gratitude, and so many things to just help us become the best versions of ourselves that we can. The reality is that we all face lots of stress in our life, and we face a lot of challenges where, sometimes you just need someone to talk to. And so whether you have a benefit through your work or it's covered by insurance or not, I will always recommend seeking professional counseling services and therapy as you see fit, because for me personally, I've had different counselors over the years, and it has always been something that has helped me, even if it's just to talk through things. So highly recommend it. And Brittiany, thank you so much for being willing to come on and share, with our audience today.
It's my joy. And I so agree. We all need a safe, neutral space with someone maybe who can see the problem differently than what we do. And when you get into it, we're all human. Like no one's got a guide map for this experience, and each of our experiences are different. And so having someone come alongside you makes things a lot better.
Brittiany, question, like, you say systemic counseling, which I've never heard about before. Can you unpack that for us in our audience? Because I thought that was super cool. We were talking a little about it before we started.
Absolutely. Depending on your type of counselor, it depends on how they're trained. Some counselors are going to come at it from a place of very individualistic. It's you in a vacuum. It's just you.
Yeah.
Systemic therapists, we look at all of the things. It is about you, but it's also about all the other things that involve you. And those are systems. So we look at family systems because it's not just, okay, mom, dad, me. Well, it's also, how do my parents navigate the world, and what is the system in which they put in their household that taught me to navigate the world? Do I follow suit or do I change?
Right.
And then when we even look at coming into, because you see systems in everything, you see it in organizational structures. This is how it flows. CEO, manager, person who does the things underneath.
Right.
So when we start getting into systemic therapy, we're looking at all of the things that influence the way you think, behave, and perceive. And how do we start to change that system with various different therapeutic techniques?
That's wild. What is the educational track for someone like yourself who looks at everything that's systemic and works together, as opposed to someone who's like, I'm only going to take this individual as an individual or this thing as a thing? Is there like different education tracks, or is it just something that you've kind of got into?
The education tracks are similar, but what we focus on are slightly different. So for me, I'm a marriage and family therapist. But say that's actually like my degree, but you could also do counseling psychology, you could do clinical psychology. Each track focuses on something different. Clinical psychology is going to go more looking at diagnoses. We're looking at the dysfunctions that cause our symptoms, really starting to get in. That's where you're going to start looking at bipolar, we're looking at psychopathy, we're looking at all of those different things, what causes those things. Counseling psychology looks at the different foundations of counseling and different ways to counsel, but we're all trained to diagnose, to identify the symptoms, to know what's happening. We just all kind of look at how to treat those things differently with some universal techniques in between. So for my track, did 6 years of school. That includes undergrad and graduate, but then I had to do additional supervision to be specialized. I had to be supervised by another marriage and family therapist. So no other type of therapist could supervise me. And I had to do, in the state that I was licensed in, I had to do 2,000 licensure hours being supervised by another licensed marriage and family therapist. And then after that, when you start looking at being licensed in multiple states, I'm licensed in both Hawaii and the state of Texas. Other states may have additional requirements. So for the state of Texas, I needed 3,000 hours, but I've done that over the course of my career. So Texas requires you to practice independently for 2 years before you seek additional licensure. You have to be really like vetted and have the proof of that from your initial licensure date. But even then, even with the supervision hours, I still had to take a national exam, which showed that my ethics, my theories, and just being able to do what I do and do it well is in place.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
So Brittany, I know one of the things that's really fun as we've chatted in different sessions is you are a person of great faith as well.
Yes.
Can you talk about how that influences how you help people?
Oh man, I'm so blessed to do this because I fully believe God made me to do this, but He is the mighty counselor. And so even when you look throughout the Bible, you actually see themes of CBT in there. Like when God says renewing your mind according to the word, well, that is a CBT technique. It's looking at it from a place of, okay, these are my thoughts. This thought doesn't necessarily line up with reality. Let me take this thought and merge it to what's actually happening, because your feelings are real, but they're not always facts. And what happens is we get stuck in our feelings and in our perception of a thing, which is not always reality. And so I've found it really cool to start seeing how what I do lines up with the word. And I like to look at it as God's the big boss and I'm just his apprentice and I'm just kind of out here doing what he told me to do, because I know that God loves everybody and he wants us more than we want him. And I love it when this happens, that God is so concerned about people, even down to who their counselor is. And so just partnering with him to help my clients get what they need and give them the practical techniques to walk out their well-being and their healing for not just now, but for every season of their life. And I see it's this wonderful intertwine.
That's beautiful. CBT, break that down for our audience.
So CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. It really focuses in on how we think and how, in CBT, thoughts influence feelings, which then influence behavior. And it's this little trifecta.
I got you.
And in CBT, it's taught that if you change a piece of the puzzle, we can change the whole. So sometimes we have to change how you act before we can change how you think. You have to act your way into a feeling. I think we've all kind of heard that before. It's like, you don't feel like doing it, but just do it. You'll feel good after. Or sometimes we have to change how we think, which then will change how we feel, which then changes how we act. I think your feelings piece, that part takes a little bit of time because feelings are like waves and we're human. So sometimes we're not aware of what we're thinking, but we're feeling the feelings because the feelings are so strong. It's not until you take a moment before the action, that behavior piece, if we can put a pause in there, we can actually kind of come back and like, wait, well, why am I feeling this way? Before I crash out, why am I feeling this way?
That's
That
awesome.
was a long-winded answer for your CBT.
I love that. I love that because it really is. Because we're in a world right now where there is this new, I wouldn't say new paradigm, but new-ish paradigm of, say, like, law of attraction. And it's essentially your thoughts become things. You think a thing and you feel that feeling, and that essentially attracts to you or really judges your actions. But I have found that a lot of the times you can try and think yourself into a feeling that gives you the action. It just doesn't work. For some reason, it just doesn't work. But if you act, you start feeling a certain way, and now your thinking changes. But I don't know when we start at the bottom and work our way up, or we start at the top and work our way down. But I would assume going through your education, you kind of break that down and say this might be an action to feeling to thought versus a thought to feeling to action, or vice versa.
Yes. And then also because systems, and we're all different. And so it's not quite cookie cutter. I think, right now self-awareness is hot. I'm aware. Okay, but what are we doing with that awareness? And that's where we have to kind of take that step, because a lot of people have great thoughts. They don't have good follow through. Raise my hand, been there. I'm telling
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
like,
we
I
all
got a
bail.
plan, but that follow through, and what typically stops people from getting into the action is the discomfort. There is, especially like with law of attraction, it's very easy and it kind of takes God out of it. There is a little bit of biblicalness in there because God tells us to regulate our thoughts. Keep your minds on things that are above and not beneath. What is ever right, so true, and good, focus on. Like there's a level of, okay, God, you told me this. You said if you give me the desires of my heart, but it's twisted. Law of attraction is a little twisted. It kind of takes God out of that because it's still within your own power.
Right.
And so we're trying to skip the discomfort of work that comes with, okay, yeah, you're thinking this, you want this, but what is the work that you're putting in to actually have this and be prepared for when you get it? Oftentimes we get things that we haven't prepped for, and that's why we don't maintain it, which then creates a loop.
It's like lottery winners. They're not prepared. And that's why a lot of them end up bankrupt pretty soon after.
Yeah,
I pray
because
for
you
that
can make money, but you
unprepared.
can't get scarcity.
This is true. I pray for learning the lesson of winning the lottery and not being prepared for it to have spent $100 million. If the good Lord wants to give me that experience, I'm ready for it. But
Yeah.
you're right. The scarcity mindset doesn't disappear when you have a check. And a
That
lot of
part.
folks wish they get the check. But
Mhm.
what you should be wishing is for the circumstance, the work, to work your way out of a scarcity mindset so you earn the check and you keep the check.
That part.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Let me ask you this. You said you're licensed in Hawaii and you're licensed in Texas. If somebody comes to you
Yes.
from California, Arizona, North Dakota, you can't work with them because they're not in the state, or how does that work?
So therapy, they're working on a side pact where if you're licensed, you can see people across multiple states, but typically it's because different jurisdictions have different requirements and they're just trying to regulate the practice to make sure that everyone is safe. And you don't have people just out here doing things, but that's where for many therapists, they move into coaching because coaching allows you to see people, but we're not doing therapy. Coaching is very much is more solution focused. All right, this is what we're doing. This is what you need. You're more of a consultant. And so that you can see people across states and you're able to serve people in a different capacity. Where therapy, like we're getting into it. Like, I want to know, where did this come from? How did you think? What caused this? I'm helping you navigate your trauma. So that does need to be regulated so we don't have people doing weird stuff.
Yeah, you don't want people in your head, screwing screws a little too loose or a little too tight, right?
So it's mainly just a safety thing that the states put in place. I'm really hoping that they're going to change some of that because I believe if you're licensed, you've taken the test, you are ethical, you've got all your requirements, we shouldn't be stopped by state jurisdictions. But
There should be
I don't
some
know, maybe
reciprocity there.
It
there
should
should
be
be some
reciprocity.
reciprocity, but
Yeah.
they've been making that argument for the last 10 years. So
That's too bad because I'm in North Carolina and I would love for you to figure out my trauma. I was telling you all earlier, I've almost gotten to the final boss of counselors, which it might be you, Brittiany, where I went to a counselor and I unloaded all of my trauma on them and it broke them enough to say, look, I can't help you. You need to talk to my boss. Went to the boss, did the same thing and broke her and said, you know what? I can't help you. You need to go to my boss. I'm hoping to get to the final boss of therapists and maybe, just maybe, that person can, slay my demons.
or equip you to slay them yourself. Because as believers, we have authority. We just need the right tools. Sometimes we try.
That's what the final boss would say, Brittiany. That's what a final boss would say.
Yeah, look, you're trying out here like, okay, take this plastic fork, now go poke it. Like you need the sword.
From a family standpoint, because you really specialize in the family system and the family dynamic and how that works everywhere. Are there like some overall tips that you would give a husband, a wife, a partner in just dealing with that family dynamic to be as healthy as you can be? That's more like agnostic and not necessarily specific to someone else's life journey or trauma that they have experienced?
Yeah, I would say, okay, husband and wife, we think about families, flows from the head down, but that's biblical.
Right?
It flows from the head down. In order for you two to be a healthy whole, you have to be healthy individuals, not perfect. I want to make that distinction. It's not about perfection. It is about each person being willing to do the work that they individually need to do so that they can have the communication they need to have and partner with each other the way God initiated for them to partner, which also comes with a different level of humility because husband, wife, you each have different responsibilities according to the Lord, but you are both responsible to treat each other the way that God would have you treat each other, which comes with a lot of humility, self-control, and restraint. But if, again, you have awareness, but we don't do anything with that awareness, that is why oftentimes we don't see marriages come to where they could be because there's this expectation of, well, you should just do this, but we're not communicating.
Right. That's so good. Just to go back to the first piece, I find myself being the best husband and father that I can be when I'm not necessarily focused on being a good husband or what I'm getting as a husband from my spouse or kids or being the best father. But when I'm like being my best, like I know that when I'm being my best, I wake up early, for example, and go exercise. And for whatever reason, when I wake up early and go exercise, I'm a better husband and father. When I'm eating healthy, when I'm speaking my truth, when I'm being the kind of person that could take feedback and not get offended and my emotions are messed up, but I actually implement that. When I'm being loving and caring, when I'm being my best, my relationships seem to flourish as opposed to when I'm worried about what I'm getting from the relationship or the expectations that I have of my wife or my kids or my external places. Things get a little funky, but not even so much so than when I know I'm being my worst. I'm not being my best. That's when things start breaking everywhere. Bah, 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 bah. Everything start breaking. So what I'm hearing you say is that the first piece is knowing that in relationship, you're not looking for someone to complete you, but share in your own completeness. And that being complete in the first place is the bedrock. And then the awareness of where you're at in that relationship. And then the communication and expectations of what it is that you expect and what it is that you are going to give and take. Am I hearing you right?
You're hearing me right. Because think of it. 1 times 1 equals 1. It's not 1 times 1.5. And not saying that there aren't seasons. There are seasons where maybe you just don't have the bandwidth. But that's where partnership comes in and the humility to say, hey, this is where I'm at. And when you have, that's where the beauty of partnership comes in because you have two people. Mind you, our completeness comes in Christ. We can't complete each other, but we can flow. We can have this synergy where it's like, wow, okay, not only are we overcoming challenges, and not saying there aren't hard seasons in marriage. I feel that marriage, relationships, raising children, these are things that humble you because it constantly requires you to take that step back and say, okay, why am I feeling this way? The more you try to control something, control is a function of anxiety. But God said, be anxious for nothing, and in all things through prayer and supplication, make your requests known. So am I trying to run my family on my own in my own strength? Or am I taking a step back and saying, God, help me? Help me relate to my children because they're different from me. They are part of me, but they're different. God, help me relate to my wife. You made her, you made her for me. We are together. How do I need to love her? And vice versa. God, help me understand my husband. Like, I know we don't see things differently. What does he need? And it's the humility in each of those moments that allow you to come together and create a beautiful whole.
So good.
So, Brittiany, you're hitting on the with self-care and when we can bring our best selves, relationships flourish. We're not always at our best selves because of stress of work or health issues or a variety of different factors cause us to not be at our best self. How do you find, what do you suggest as far as finding the balance between you got to focus on yourself and have self-care, but also for relationships to flourish you need to be outward focused in serving your partner or your children. There's a level of service in putting them first.
Yes.
But you also have to put yourself first at times.
Yes.
And how do you find balance?
It is such a dance. Because there are days, and I think that's where the communication comes in. It's that vulnerable piece because there are times when you're not at your best. So what do we do when we're sick? Are we letting our partners and the people we love and who love us know like, hey, my desire is to do this, but I don't have the energy for this right now.
I just tell them to quarantine and stay away so they don't get me sick. It might be a problem.
Maybe a little bit, but
Go in that
it's
room and come out when you're better.
yeah, no. I mean, what are we doing? Passing notes under the door?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, you could make that fun. We get some walkie-talkies. It's all about the experience. But it really is that balance and that vulnerability. And it's oftentimes we try to hold it all together in service of others. But if we're supposed to love others as we love ourselves, does dismissing my needs help me love you better?
A good point.
Or am I doing this out of performance? Because what happens when, say, for whatever reason, you can't meet that same level that I'm at? Does that breed distrust in me? Does that breed resentment in me? Because I'm expecting you to give me out of your nothing because I would give you out of my nothing. But that's not fair. So part of it is if I know I only have this much, my responsibility is to communicate that with the people that I love and say, hey, I only have this much to give. I can't do this, but I can reasonably do this.
Mm.
And that's where we start getting into the beauty of relationship, because what you see is that healthy relationships are, I want you to be good just like I'm good. And if you can only reasonably give me this, I'm not going to be mad at you for that. It still meets my need. I still see you're willing to give me what you do have while taking care of yourself. And it takes that pressure off of you. And now we're not performing.
Yeah.
It's very easy for us to use that love language is acts of service.
Right.
And it's a very dominant love language for a lot of people where it's like, I can't necessarily maybe communicate to you how much I love you, but I will go out of my way for you. Heck or high water, I'm going to do it. I could be sick and dying and I'm going to show up for you. But sometimes love is also saying, hey, I'm sick today, and allowing people to love us back.
Is it fair to say, Brittiany, that it's also the recognition of when you have this much to give and to say, hey, I can take more today because I'm filled up, and I could see and recognize that you may not have a lot to give? Because I'll be honest, I'll be vulnerable. I notice myself, I'm hesitant. Like my wife, how was your day today? It was a great day. I don't want to say that because a great day says, well, can you help me with these dishes? Can you help me with these kids? You're filled up. I'm beaten. I'm like, oh, one of them days. Oh. And it's like, that is selfish of me because I know that I have more to give, but I don't necessarily want to give more because I am tired. And it does take a lot of energy and effort to sacrifice for another person. But if I'm my best self, I do say today was a great day. So much so where I want to make sure that you're taken care of, and I can give a little bit more right now. Is that also something that you found?
Absolutely. Because when you take care of yourself, and again, there are seasons. There are seasons where you and your wife might only have this much. But that's where it's like, okay, we're in this together. So in this area, I got a little bit more bandwidth. I can tell you're overstimulated. You need a break.
Yep.
I got the bandwidth to take the kids.
Yep.
Me and the kids will do a family activity and
Yep.
they'll help me load these dishes. Bonding time. Go take your break. And it's a balance. It's learning how to take care of each other when you don't have a lot to give. But that's where that humility starts to come in. But when we are intentional, even in, say, I think we underestimate self-care. You know, you hear self-care talked about as, oh, go take a bubble bath, just get away. Well, if you're overstimulated and you're burnt out, then you probably need a break. But why are we waiting until we're overstimulated and burnt out?
Yeah.
By then we're in damage control versus if we are throughout our days looking at, okay, what do I need? The more intentional we are about saying, did I eat today? I'm up here frustrated with my kids and my wife got something to say and I can't focus. Did I eat today or am I running off a Red Bull and coffee?
That's a good
Well,
point.
no wonder I can't focus. No, no wonder my adrenals are shot. Not only did I not eat today, I haven't had any water. It's been a stressful day. I didn't get no sunshine. It's a lot. But if we kind of take that little, I like practical solutions because you can't always take a bubble bath. It'd be nice. You can't always take a trip somewhere and get away. It'd be real nice. We can plan that in. But daily, can I make sure that I ate? Can I make sure that I spent time with God in some way or form because I know that He's the lifter of my head, the lifter of my countenance, the holder of my burdens? Like, can I make sure I get with the one who made me so He can talk to me about myself before I come in this house and I'm like, don't talk to me. I need a
Yeah.
moment. And sometimes you
Yeah.
do, but that's where the grace comes in, where it's like, hey guys, I know this, give me 10 minutes, or maybe even 15. Get yourself right, and then you can come in, and that's when you guys can tag team. So it is sometimes when you have more, you give more, but giving more isn't depleting you because you're not pouring from an empty place.
That's so good. That's so good. And it's so hard.
Yeah.
Like and you said something that I think is so wise. Like Viktor Frankl kind of echoes your sentiment when he said, in between stimulus and response is our power. It lies our power to choose. So you have a stimulus and you say, okay, and you step back and you get to choose your response.
Yeah.
But like, how do you do that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you give yourself that type of muscle where it's like, you could first and foremost, to your point, recognize that here's the gap.
Mhm.
And then the power to choose the action that you want to take, as opposed to just shooting from that emotional hit because
Yeah.
of whatever's going on. Like, any advice for us on that?
Definitely. I'd say when you feel it, pause. Sometimes we're just trying to dismiss the feeling. We don't like the feeling, so we do something to make it go away. And sometimes we need to say, breathe. The moment you stop to take a breath, your head clears. And we can look at, is this something for me to actually do something about, or do I just need a break? Timeouts aren't just for kids. We kind of look at timeout like it's a bad thing, like, oh, you naughty, go in the corner. And it's like, no,
I would love
sometimes
for someone to give me a timeout.
You too.
look, I give myself a timeout. I can't tell you guys how often I'm like, I just need to go be horizontal. I might keep my eyes open, I might not, but I'm gonna go lay down for about 20 minutes and I'll be back.
I love that. I love that.
Because sometimes I'm in my feelings okay, again, systems, because this is my thing. I love it. When you think about the way our bodies, our hormones influence our thoughts and our emotions and vice versa. And then because we're tripart beings, because we're made in God's image, then you got your soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions. Then you got your spirit. Then you got your body.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Everything influences something else. So if something is off in my body, it is not uncommon for it to be off in my emotions. I might be extra irritable for no reason. And everything just ticks me off. And then I take a moment. I'm like, why are you so upset? You didn't drink any water.
Yeah. You ain't got no food in your system.
You're dehydrated and you're hungry. Well, okay, yeah, you are tripping.
Yeah.
It was once said, halt, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Don't make decisions when you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. We don't make good decisions in that place. In anger, we can also flip anxious. That's another A. If I'm anxious about this, maybe I don't want to make a decision right now because that's an
Yeah.
anxiety-based decision. So I'm not thinking clearly again. I just want this to stop. Whatever's irritating me, I just want this to stop. But maybe let me just give myself a moment. If I can't figure this out in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to let it breathe and I can come back to it later. If it's not dire, it's just annoying, I can let it breathe. I can come back to it. I think the more we give ourselves permission to say, I can come back to this.
That's
It's
so
not
good.
like a deadline. We have our work. It's like, I have to get this done at this time. Many of the decisions we have in life aren't like that.
Yeah.
It's not like, we have a health condition we need to make a decision on and the doctor's saying, I need a decision right now. That's a little different. Many of the times it's, I can give this 10 minutes to come back
Yeah.
to, or 24 hours.
Yeah. I don't do that. And I've noticed that my best self does that. Like, for whatever reason, and, you could blame it on the microwave society that we live in or the lack of attention spans we have because of all the, technology that we have at our disposal. But I am so bad at, like, letting things breathe, to your point.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm triggered. Like they said, what?
Yeah.
I'll start going in. When it's like, if I just let it breathe for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 24 hours, I come back and almost 99 times out of 100, if I see what I said or how I reacted or what I did from that place where I was at. I don't even remember where I was at emotionally.
Yeah.
By this point. I'm like, whoa, calm down, bro. And like, I wish I would have done something differently. So
Yeah.
I really do need to personally flex my muscle of letting it breathe.
Yes. And I love that you said that. It's a muscle. One thing I see with a lot of my clients, and especially like high achievers, really driven people, we like results. If
Bam.
I do this, I want to see this. But I tell you, God has a way of humbling you because sometimes it's don't grow weary in doing good. Sometimes I'm just sowing seeds. And am I going to keep doing the right thing even if I'm not seeing fruit? So it is a muscle of allowing yourself that space of saying, okay, I could say this, but the moment you breathe, you also hear the Holy Spirit say, don't say that. So sometimes we have to give space because then God can tell you, you know what? Don't even respond to that. Or handle it this way. And so as we work on that muscle, a nice tangible thing to do is like, you know what? I can give myself 5 minutes. I'm gonna give myself 5 minutes. I'm gonna walk away. I can give myself 5 minutes because 5 minutes isn't a very hefty amount of time, but it's enough for you to start to regulate your system. And if you're still not feeling good after 5, I can take another 5. I'm gonna go do this. And we can put that energy into something productive that's not detrimental.
I'm gonna let my thoughts and actions decanter.
Yeah.
Essentially, I'm gonna let my thoughts and actions breathe. The wine of my actions, which could be sweet and lovely, needs to breathe. Because if I just pop that emotional bottle and start drinking from it, it's gonna be bitter, it's gonna be sour, and
Yep.
I just need to let it breathe. So I'm gonna picture that when I'm especially triggered.
Yeah. And the fact that you recognize it, the moment you can say, oh, I'm triggered. So now because you have the awareness, the next step is, oh, pause. Why am I triggered? What
Ooh,
about this is actually making me upset? Is it because I can't control it? Okay, well, I can't control a lot of things. What can I control? Let me
yeah.
just take 5.
What are other things that typically you've noticed trigger people? Can't
Mm.
control it? Like, is there usually like patterns in folks?
There are patterns. Sometimes it really is biological. Like you're not really mad about a thing. You really just need to go lay down. You're
I got
overstimulated.
you. I got you.
And we have to normalize that because sometimes something is wrong. And I like to say, like, if your feelings are data, they let us know something's off.
Yeah.
Is it something biological or is it something emotional? If it's emotional, we need time to figure that out. What about this situation is triggering me? And this is where that muscle of letting it breathe is important because you're not always going to get an answer. It might not be until later on in the night where you're like, oh, that's why that bothered me because I don't like being talked to like this. It triggers this place in me. It triggers this helplessness. It triggers this anger. It triggers this need for me to defend myself or to prove myself. And it's like, oh, well, thank you, Lord, because he reveals
Mm-hmm.
to heal. Sometimes we have to give it space. And that's where you start to get your answer.
So good.
So, Brittany, you said something that's you've said it a few times, and this is one of the things that you and I talked about previously is just the concept of rest. So you've said a couple times like go lay down. Sometimes you just need a nap.
You just need a nap.
You've recommended that to me personally a few times. It's like you might just need to go take a nap. But with the talking about self care, you had it as its own topic of just rest.
Hmm.
Can you talk about like what you mean by just rest beyond just putting your head on your pillow? Because there's obviously the sleep kind of rest, but
Yeah.
it was so insightful when you and I talked about this before.
Because there are different types of rest. You have active rest, where maybe you're outside, you're walking, you're looking at trees, you're listening to the birds sing. Rest, when we think about it, it is allowing you to step back from something that is tedious or arduous.
Mm.
And we, in our society, we think tedious and arduous is only, well, I cut the yard. I did, funny story, I pulled a muscle trying to weed my garden one time. I have help now, but anyway.
Stay in your lane, Brittany. Stay in your lane.
Pretty much. Okay. I thought it wasn't, just didn't want my yard to be jacked up. I learned my lesson.
I'll make you feel better about that. I recognize that I was aging. This was just last year. People say 40. My kids tell me that I'm old. Well, I had a moment where I was raking leaves, and I literally just stood up to pick up. I hadn't picked it up yet. I stood up to pick up the bag of leaves, and my back went out.
Yeah. I almost threw out
Yeah.
my back picking up a Hot Wheels car. Like, ain't no
Look.
deadlift plate, ain't no bar, just a Hot Wheels car. Ah, ah, ah. It's like, okay, I need
Look,
Wait,
y'all,
go take a nap.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that part, it's take a nap or let's just go stretch. Like,
Yeah, something.
there's levels to rest. There's active rest. There's rest, like say where you're reading. Your mind isn't doing all the thinky things. And
Yeah,
we forget that brain work is work.
it is.
It's one thing when you're really passionate about something, it doesn't feel like work, but you're doing a lot of processing. And sometimes just to be able to turn your brain off for a moment, I love to like, either have some lo-fi playing and I'll do like a brain game where my brain's not actively trying to fix something, puzzle something, bridge a gap, find the interconnectedness of whatever. It's no, I am playing I Spy and listening to lo-fi.
Yeah, I love that.
So we need that. So rest can be a lot of different things, and rest is supposed to be refreshing. So sometimes that is lay down. You've been up for 36 hours, lay down. And sometimes it's no, go enjoy your backyard, sit there with a book, have some quiet, and allow yourself the space to be. Or maybe it's go do an activity that you like. It's okay. That too can be rest. But I think we have to balance that because we can get so caught up in doing activities. Well, now you're not resting. You're just being
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. I've been on vacations many a times where it did not feel like a vacation. I needed a vacation from the vacation.
Yeah.
I really love what you said too, Brittany. Like, I noticed because now we have these devices that can tell us, like, oh my God, I'm stressed out right now. And there's things that I thought in my mind were restful, things that I like. So, like, I'm a big child at heart. I'm 40 years old, but I still play video games, and I'm proud of it. I love them.
Yeah.
But there's different games that I'll play and I'll be like looking and like my stress response is high and I'm sweating. I'm having dreams about messing me up. And then there's other games where like I'll like get a buzz. Like this restful period is added to your body battery. And it's like this is the type of game that I need to be playing to give myself rest. This is the type of game that's actually active for me and actually engaging my brain enough where it's not rest. And like, you really do have to find those activities and those things that you really do love and enjoy to balance that sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Because I think we live in this whole go and, build your castle and knock walls down and become rich and famous and be influencers and accomplish thing environment and world where that's not how God created us. Like the Sabbath is not for God. The Sabbath is for us. Like he created this day of rest for us to tell us how important it is to rest and to recover and to worship and to sing and to love and to experience the majesty of this world and universe that he's created for all of us. And I think that all too often we look at things like, oh, I just watched my show on Netflix. I'm just such a piece of you-know-what because I'm not out there doing things. I'm not cleaning the house or I'm not blah, blah, blah. And it's like that bubble bath. That could be godly because that's the rest. That video game or show, that's godly because that's rest. And he designed us to balance both.
He did. There's a reason why he said he maketh me. I don't think David wanted to lay down. David was like,
he maketh me lay down.
He maketh me lay down. But he didn't just make him lay down. He lay down in green pastures. That's sweet places. That's restful places. That's plush places. I mean, that means that's nice, okay? But then it's also, he gives rest to those he loves. And if you look, again, the interconnected of everything, when you're rested, you're more efficient.
Yeah.
So what would have took you an hour to do takes you 20 to 30 minutes because you're actually rested. You can go do those things. And so one thing I like to do with my clients, it's, okay, need to do, nice to do. There are things that we legit need to do in our days.
Right.
They're not negotiable. There are activities of daily living. Like we have to do those things. But some things on our list are nice to do's. And we can do those things a little bit later when we have a little bit more bandwidth. Not saying we're going to take 5 years to do a thing on the nice to-do list, but okay, if I know I want to study for something, trying to force myself to study after I know I worked a 10-hour day.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted and I still need to clean my house. So I don't like ants. And y'all know we live in Texas. It's disrespectful. I don't like ants. I don't like rodents. I don't like none of that stuff. So this is a need to do so I can have peace.
Exactly.
But I can study whatever I'm going to study tomorrow when I have gaps in my day and I know that I'm rested. And that's that where we have to hit that, because that's a little bit of anxiety. That's a little bit of that. I gotta go. I gotta go.
Gotta
It's
do
like,
it now.
have
Gotta
y'all
do it
seen
now. Gotta do it
Hamilton?
now. Yeah, I want to be at the
Wild,
table.
right? Running out of time. Like, okay, we have time. Time is a blessing. We're just not managing it because we're being busy. And busyness steals away from efficiency.
That's so good because I find myself sometimes in days where I do so much and I look back and I got nothing done. Like
Yeah.
all of the important things, the things that really matter, the things that really would move the needle, I didn't get anything done. Or I look up sometimes and I'm just prioritized and I step away and then I
Yeah.
come back and I rock something out. It's like, oh, that's nice. And I step away and I rock the next thing out. And it's like, whoa, I took way more breaks today than I ever have. And I got so much more done today than I ever have. So maybe there's something to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just focused effort. Yeah.
Yes. Because when you're rested, you have the focus to give to the effort.
Mm.
We're stretching ourselves too thin. And I think about Spain and I think about other European countries. They have time in their day where, like, we're closed. We'll
Yeah.
be back later. They start their days a little bit earlier, but at a certain time, there are hours in their day when we are not available. Typically, it's the
true.
hottest part of the day, but they're resting, they're refreshing, and then they come back at the later part of the day. And so in our culture here, we are very grind focused. I'm thinking not straight. 24/7. I think back when I used to listen to rap music, almost every song was hustle hard, grind, take no sleep. I'm like, yeah, but
Sleep
you
when
go
you're
to the
dead.
doctor, yeah, trying to get it. And it's then you go to the doctor, you're like, you're not sleeping enough. Your levels are elevated. Why
What's
is your
going
heart
on?
rate this high? Why is your heart stressed? And we're in our 30s, we're in our 40s, and it's like, well, we've been hustling, we've been grinding. And when you really get technical with it, grind means to grind. So
Yeah.
you mean to tell me all this time we've been out here grinding, and there are seasons. There are seasons. I'm never going to say don't work hard, but I don't think you
There's
have
going
to
to be
break your
grind
body
seasons.
down to do it.
Yeah. You don't have to be at 24/7 as you were saying.
I read this article. Well, actually, I listened to an article. I don't read. I listened to this podcast, actually, where one of these exercise scientists was talking about the detriments of sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
And just an hour to 2 hours less sleep than you need. We're supposed to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So just an hour to 2 hours less is like a 30% drop in cognitive ability, a 30% drop in testosterone. And essentially they said that you would have to do a pro wrestling
Wow.
to just get back to baseline after 2 hours of missed sleep. That's how detrimental it is to your actual testosterone and your hormone levels. And I think about those folks that are like up grinding and how they're running at like 60%, 70% maximum. It's like, oh yeah, I got 16 hours at 60%. It's like, well, I got 8 hours at 100.
Yeah.
And if you're at 16 hours at 50%, that's the same as 8 hours at 100. And you're just essentially grinding that you're just grinding yourself down. So does it make sense to take the rest so you can be at 100% as opposed to just killing yourself to be at 50?
Yeah. But I think too, we've been told the get it while you're young, so when you're old you can enjoy it. And I don't think we've been given a more holistic worldview of why do we have to wait to have a quality of life. Now, again, not saying don't work hard. We each have to pay our dues, but there's still a level of quality of life that we can enjoy in the process.
Yeah, so good. Brandy, I don't know how I'm going to get my insurance to pay for a Texas counselor, but I'm going to figure it out.
Oh man, don't worry, Solo.
I'm
I'm
good.
I'm making something for everybody, because I realize I can't serve everybody, but I can make resources that do serve everybody. So once those resources are made, I'll make sure you get a copy for sure.
You're doing God's work for real. Blending
Absolutely.
psychology with the spirit, with the body, and understanding it all works in a system and it works, interconnectedly. I'd never heard anyone talk like that before. So I'm excited to see what you do create.
Like, I just love to do this, and I'm grateful that I get to. And I appreciate you both for allowing me to share and to spend this time with you because it's exciting to just kind of geek out on this stuff.
I'm excited.
Brittany, the pleasure was truly ours. We are so grateful that you joined us, and it's obvious to anybody who's listening or watching that you truly do enjoy this because it just
Yeah.
radiates from us. So thank you. It's And friends, like if you want to connect with Brittiany, I am giving a personal glowing recommendation as a client of hers as well, but is B.A. Jefferson Counseling and Solutions. If you're lucky enough to live in the great state of Texas or Hawaii, then I should say licensed in both. Brittiany, I also see that you are on LinkedIn, and so people can connect with you there. But thank you so much, and you are welcome back anytime. And we would love to have you back.
It would be my joy.
Any parting words of wisdom?
Go take a nap.
Definitely, I'm the ambassador of naps. But I just want to encourage everyone to just know, like, taking care of yourself is not lazy, and you're still going to get everything done. So I just want to encourage everyone, be kind to yourself, and know that being kind doesn't mean I'm enabling myself. It just means I know I need this, so I can do this. And I just hope that everyone can give that to themselves without that critical committee coming in and saying you suck, because you don't suck. You're just human.
I love that. The last thing I will say about the naps. Have y'all ever taken a nappuccino before?
What's a nap? Is that
So
when you
ch-
drink the coffee before you lay down? And so then it kicks in yeah.
So
Yeah.
you drink a cup of coffee, or really espresso, right? Because you ain't chugging like you don't want to go on that far. But that's what I had to do. I throw some ice in it. But you drink a shot, 2 shots of espresso, and you instantly lay down and you set your timer for 25 minutes. Because Brittiany, you probably know this, like a 20-minute nap is like the sweet spot, 15, 20 minutes, right?
Mhm.
And then it takes caffeine about 25 minutes to kick. So like you take the nap, you get the perfect amount of rest, you wake up and the caffeine hits you right when you wake up. So you get the nap and the caffeine. Nappuccino.
It's a game changer. Not to
Game
mention you just
changer.
feel good. And 40 minutes if you're really just like,
If you need it. 40.
if you need it. But
I
it's
gotcha.
nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittiany.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys. This was great.